Hey everybody, my name is Lisa Schroeder and welcome to my video on creating a wonderful beginning to your novel or something like that. I don't remember the official name. I'm thrilled to be here. I was a part of WriteOnCon last year. I did a segment on romance in young adult novels, and I have 4 young adult novels published at this point. I Heart You, You Haunt Me was my first one. Next came Far From You. Chasing Brooklyn was a companion to I Heart You, You Haunt Me. And my latest release is called The Day Before. And I'm also a middle grade author. That's where the cupcake came in last year. I wrote It's Raining Cupcakes, and I have a new book out in September, a companion that's called Sprinkles and Secrets. So here we go. We're going to talk about beginnings. A while ago, I asked on Twitter agents and editors to weigh in on things that they think you shouldn't do at the beginning of your novel. And here's some things they said. Starting with a dream. Starting with dialogue is hard to pull off. I think this is because if you're just dropped into a conversation and you have no idea who's talking, who the people are, you might not even know if it's a name that's sort of neutral, if it's a boy or a girl. So I tend to agree with that dropping a reader into dialogue is really not the best thing. But there's exceptions with every one of these, as we will talk about. Starting with an alarm clock, waking up, stumbling to the mirror, describing themselves, and they go down in the kitchen to make breakfast and blah, blah, blah. Apparently one of the agents said she gets a lot of manuscripts that start this way. Another one is an average kid in an average town and has a totally average life. Guess what? Readers don't want to read about average people. They have picked up your book or whoever's book, hopefully your book, to, experience something different than the average life that they lead, okay? Another mistake is too much backstory can bog down your book in the beginning, so really be careful of that. And then finally, starting too far into action so that it's disorienting. I mean, there's sort of a balance there. We hear, start in the middle of action, but if you're dropped into a scene with all this action, you have no idea what's going on and who's involved. And again, you don't want your reader saying, "What is all of this?" Okay. I think the main thing that I want to say, one of the main things, is that whatever beginning you choose, make sure that you have a good reason. Be intentional about why you're starting the book the way that you are. In my book, The Day Before, I actually do start with someone waking up. So I've broken one of the cardinal rules that I just read to you. But I did it for a reason. The book takes place over a 24-hour period of time. And that beginning, her waking up, sets the tone, sort of, for the day. So I want to read to you, this is from The Breakout Novelist by Donald Mass, and I want to read just one paragraph here, and then we'll talk a little bit more. Bridging conflict. If you think of a first line as a grabber or hook or a slick trick that somehow captures your reader's attention because it is clever, puzzling, colorful, lurid, or in some way curiosity-provoking, then you are missing something. There is, in any great opening line, a mini conflict or tension that is strong enough to carry readers to the next step in the narrative. Its effect lasts, perhaps a half a page. After that, another electric spark of tension needs to strike, or reader interest starts to flicker out. I think what you want to do when you're thinking about your beginning is you want to have the reader begin to ask questions. Not little questions, but big ones. I think sometimes our first inclination is not to try to create questions, but answer them. I've been to first page critique sessions, for example, where over and over again we heard pages filled with lots of detail that really wasn't important at all. The beginning is not the time to impress your reader with, your beautiful prose. It's the time to grab his or her attention and make them want to turn the page. It's a lot harder than it sounds, isn't it? So besides getting the reader to wonder about things, what else? What else is important? Voice, of course. We all know that. We hear editors talk about it all the time. But I don't think voice alone is enough to carry you. So there needs to be more. I think we can all agree your book should begin with a moment of significance. Usually something has changed for your character or is about to change. But there can be a lot of significant moments in a person's life. So ask yourself, why this moment? Why today instead of yesterday? Why today instead of last Tuesday? Why today? Why here? Again, it comes back to being intentional about where you start. When I first wrote I Heart You, You Haunt Me, the first page was the main character doodling in her notebook before she was going to go to her boyfriend's funeral. And I think I was trying to show how sad she felt and how she didn't really want to go. But then a critique partner said, isn't really the story starting at the funeral? And she was right. If I took away that first page and we started at the funeral, and the first line of that page is, I've never been to a funeral until today. That's a strong place to start, right? That's the kind of thing you want to think about. And I think that if you're not sure where to start, the best thing to do is experiment. Write 4 or 5 different beginnings and just see what happens. One of the most important things that we can do with our writing, in terms of not just the beginning but any of it, is to not become too attached to it. If you have your novel published, I promise you, many, many things will have to be deleted and new things will have to be put in its place. You can't be too attached. So if that beginning, you're not sure about it, say, well, why don't I try and write another one and see what happens? Thank you for watching my session. I hope that you found it somewhat helpful, and best of luck with your writing. Thanks. Bye.